horror can take place in this medical framework. There's something very unsettling, apparently universally unsettling about medicine. And you know what I thought? This is an interesting thing. There's some, I think part of what makes a movie when they use hospitals and like the medical field as a scene of horror is that it exposes the trust we have in those institutions and and how vulnerable that trust can make us, because there is that kind of recurring theme in horror a lot, the idea, the lobotomy, the false imprisonment, the idea that because the medical institution is trusted as this expert, neutral force, that if your family comes in and they say, oh, we're so sorry, he no longer has the ability to speak or move, it's just something went wrong with the surgery and it's, we're so sorry, that for the most part people might push back a little more now because I think there's even more distrust, but there's that element of like, how do you tell them they're wrong? How do you get out of that? And because you're vulnerable in that situation, when you're, especially like this scene of he's on the stretcher, he can't walk, he's being taken to some random basement hospital somewhere, you're at the mercy of this institution, and now the institution is corrupt. So it's a great kind of almost, I would call it this institutional horror, where it's not a person or a monster, it's the institution that has become demonic, and now you're at the mercy of that institution. When he's in the hospital bed and his family comes in and the nurse is like, oh, he might not be able to talk too much because he just got out of the treatment, so whatever, I was like, oh my god, they've given him a lobotomy or something and he's gonna be stuck there or whatever. And then that's not what happened. And it was interesting because I thought then in that moment, I was like, oh wow, it's like so natural to distrust that vulnerability that you have in the institution when the institution seems corrupt.
This is great. That's a great point, because it's bringing something together that I think now we can maybe say something about, which is why the angel is a chiropractor. Because despite my own naysaying about chiropractic, potentially, I'd never been, so maybe it's great. It is considered kind of an alternative, especially I would guess in 1990, considered very much like kind of an alternative medicine, away from the institutions of science and medicine. And so, you see this, that juxtaposition between the doctors and the institutional medicine with the chiropractor who's actually trying to help. And I think we're going
in too. And to the hospital, he's like, this is barbaric. And he like frees him from the institution.